catches, puts up a three. One go. Rebound box.
Now head over in this direction. Gone to three.
Tie game with 5 seconds remaining. The impossible has happened.
Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler.
Anthony for three. Puts it in. Bridges. Oh my God. Oh, what? Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with the rejection. Curry way downtown. Bang! Bang!
And we are back. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Cam's Corner. Today we got a special guest. He's from Johnston, Rhode Island, just like myself, Bishop Hendricken alum, along with a ton of personal accolades in the sport of basketball, and you'll see that soon. And is currently playing at the University of Vermont. Guys, give it up for Justin Mazzulla. A pleasure to have you, and have another Johnston native with me. But before we get into high school, college stats, and all that kind of stuff, obviously being born into a basketball-oriented family, when did your true passion for basketball begin, and what was it like for you at the early stages?
I don't think a real true passion actually was developed until later in my life. I think it was just I was there. Like my dad was reffing, my brother was playing, so we were always around the gym, which helped make a passion. But I would say it would start around maybe 8th grade when I started to really lock in and really know what I wanted to do with my life, and that was basketball. But before that, it was just I was playing basketball for fun because I played like 3 other sports. I played basketball in middle school. I played soccer. I ran track. I played baseball. And when I was really younger, I played football. So I did pretty much every sport.
Right. So now starting off in your high school career now, I know your brother Joe attended Bishop Hendricken, but what made you decide that you wanted to go there and play basketball there as well?
That my brother went there. I kind of was trying to follow in his footsteps, and I saw the way like Hendricken was, and I just was really infatuated with the type of culture that Hendricken basketball had. So I went there right when I was able to.
Right. Being the leader that you were on the court, did you ever feel pressure because you were the little brother to Joe? And did you feel that your coaches made you live up to a certain expectation?
My coach, that's actually a great question. But right when I got to Hendricken, Coach Gomes actually sat me down in his office. I'm talking about the first day, not even the first day of basketball, the first day of school.
Your freshman year?
Yeah. The first day of school. And because he was my guidance counselor too, so that was pretty cool. So sits me down in his office and he's like, all right, let's get it out the way. Like, I'm never going to compare you to your brother. You guys are 2 different players. So don't worry about in practice living up to a certain expectation. I won't hold you to a certain expectation. So that kind of was great the first day to hear that, because I went in with a clean slate. So I never really felt that pressure. But maybe from the outside, I did feel that pressure from outside sources and
like the media and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, media and just when your brother goes in college basketball to the Final Four and Elite Eight, that's kind of,
there's a lot of eyes on you now, right? No, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of not easy to push that away. But I did the best I could.
Yeah, of course. And what advice did Joe give you starting off at Hendricken?
Well, he was still trying to figure out his own identity and coaching identity and whatever he was doing. So we really never spoke that often about what I was going through because he had a lot of stuff going on. It just mainly was my dad who influenced me the most during my high school career.
Of course, he must have been there, throughout the whole way. But I read that Coach Gomes said that he already had you starting in your second game at Hendricken. Yeah. So like being the leader, like already in a sense as a freshman, did you feel like it wasn't your place yet to kind of have like a voice on the court because you were at such a young age?
Yes and no. I did feel that way sometimes when like a upperclassman would make a mistake
Mm.
and I would have to correct the upperclassman, or not have to, but
You'd want
um
to. Yeah.
I would want to, but then
Show
I would be
leadership.
like, he's been here for 3 years or
Right.
4 years, so it's kind of hard. But in high school, it's a little bit different. Because in high school, you could be on varsity, you could be in the program for 4 years and only on varsity for 1 year. So if you have an upperclassman that's on varsity for 1 year and I'm there for 1 year, I mean, we're basically in the same boat. So I
Yeah.
mean, we'll just both talk about it. Um, there weren't many people who were on varsity for 4 years straight, so you're not getting a lot of experienced upperclassmen like that. So uh, I would just mainly talk to with my coach and see ways that I can help lead and guide without having to step on many people's toes.
And like transitioning into your sophomore year, you were already averaging the most on the team at 14 and a half points. And the following year, you led the Hawks to a 23-6 record. You're awarded the Gatorade Player of the Year, state championship MVP. And the mentality that you have, what do these accolades truly mean to you?
Actually, they mean nothing.
Right. I
I
would
mean,
probably already assume that.
they do mean. I mean, an award always means something to somebody, obviously, and but the way my family looked at it, it was just another piece of just something to collect dust. So me personally, I only kept one award, and that was Gatorade Player of the Year award. Um, I mean, because that's just a cool accomplishment to have, and they're
Yeah.
all cool accomplishments. But I mean, it's nice to see awards because it shows that your hard work is paying off. But I usually don't use awards to become complacent and comfortable. I kind of use awards obviously to motivate me more because I don't really like to be in the spotlight like that all the time, and especially in Rhode Island, everyone was so like wanted to take the Hawks down, and it was just so annoying. Like, but it was great. Don't get me wrong, um, but many of those awards really stemmed from the team that I was on. Not always, it wasn't always me. It was mainly my coach and the people that were around me.
Right.
Um, like my freshman year, we did have a great team. There was a lot of great players on that team. We wouldn't have been able to do it without all working together because actually, I don't know if it was my freshman year or my sophomore year. I think we beat LaSalle in the championship.
Yeah.
But the game before that, when we played divisionals,
Mm-hmm.
we lost by probably about 35,
Really?
maybe yeah, about 35 to LaSalle in divisionals at CCRI, and then we came back as a team and we beat them by probably about 11. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there was a lot of great people around me that my individual awards really didn't mean much. It was because of them.
Of course, yeah. But how many championships did you actually win at Hendricken?
3.
3.
It was
So
my freshman year that we did that because sophomore year we fell short.
playing at the Ryan Center during those championship games, was that like your first like true taste of playing on a college court or in a college arena, or did you have experience like prior to that?
Yeah. Well, I also played AAU.
Yeah, right. That gives you a lot of
So
opportunities.
with my AAU team, BABC, we played at Wide World, whatever it is in Disney.
Mm,
And they have a huge arena there. It's not college, but it's pretty much the same thing.
yeah.
Um, and just traveling, I think we went to different venues. Like we played in Louisville, when we went to that was nationals. When we went to nationals, we played in a big venue. So it wasn't my first time.
How did these games and how did these accolades prepare you for the college level? I know you had so much experience, like you said, with AAU and like so much like before even playing in high
Yeah.
school, but
Yeah. So I wouldn't say it necessarily prepared me because the college game is so much different than the high school game that I had a lot to get used to when I got to college. Stuff that many people really don't see. If you play the sport and then you have to do it, like when you transition from high school basketball, it's pretty much quicker. There's not many like secondary breaks, stuff like that. Timing is a big thing. Patience, reads. There's all different things that you have to do differently when you get to college. So I played a lot of basketball when I was in high school, and I played on many different teams, got many different accolades. But when you get to college, it's you have to learn the offense. There's a lot of stuff that you need to learn that I prepared myself by working hard in high school, but there was many stuff that I had to get used to in college.
Yeah, like I'm at Rick right now. Obviously, I didn't get to continue my playing career, but I'm excited to like see the games. Like I haven't even really experienced any games. I know Rick's D3, but I've been to a lot of your games in the past. But how did you decide that you wanted to go to George Washington for your first school?
I just felt that though it was right. They at the time they just won the NIT, so I assumed that it would be a program that was on its way up. That didn't go as planned, and I mean that happens in college. Sometimes
Right.
if you make a decision, you gotta stay with the decision and see what happens after that. Being recruited is kind of a difficult thing. I believe. You're 17, 18 years old, and you have a bunch of people telling you a lot of stuff that you like to hear, but you really don't know the ins and outs of the college or the university, which is pretty difficult and it's a tough decision for a 17, 18-year-old to make on their own. Like you really don't know. You don't know anything. So sometimes that's why you see a lot of transfers. It's because you hear a lot of great things and you see a lot of great facilities, you see all this cool stuff, and then you get there and it's like,
not advertised correctly.
This wasn't what I thought it was. But you just gotta stick to it and continue to do you as you go to places that if you don't like it. So
yes, like so what kind of like offers were you getting? Like mainly like the same as kind of George Washington?
Yeah, URI, Creighton, which I really liked Creighton. Brown, some Ivy Leagues. Yeah, around there.
Yeah. In your freshman year at George Washington, before the regular season even started, you played your brother Joe in an exhibition game.
Yeah.
When he was on the podcast, I actually asked him the same question. What was that moment like for you, seeing your brother out on the floor the same time as you? But, from a playing perspective and him from a coaching perspective.
I mean, in the moment, we were trying to win, so it wasn't very.
Right, of course.
I wasn't really worried about him on the other side of the floor. But it was a really special moment for us, for the Mazzulla family, for my dad. It was really special for actually pretty much a lot of people in Johnston, a lot of supporters that support our family. They came out to the game, they drove and flew. So there was a lot of people from Johnston there. There was my whole family. There were people like the Gilmores, people that support my dad. We had a lot of people there, which was really remarkable to see, because not many people, I mean, I don't want to sound like that, but not many people in sports make it to like that level in basketball out of Johnston. So,
right.
I mean, for my brother and I, that was pretty cool to be at that level and just like having fun. So
yeah, you guys on the court at the same time. That must have been an amazing start to your freshman year of college. You were also fortunate enough to play in a tournament at Mohegan Sun the following year, playing like teams like the University of Michigan, Providence College, like South Carolina. I was actually at those games, and I'm not sure if you had experiences like this one now, but what was that atmosphere like, and what was it like going up against a team like Michigan?
I mean, I've been playing a lot of big teams in my career, so it's cool when you play big teams like that, but like you want to win. So
right.
It's all fun and it's all like fun and dandy beforehand, like you get to play the big team, but when you really step on the court, you just want to win the game. So in the moment, I wasn't really like happy to play them. I shouldn't be happy to play someone because they're a bigger school. I just was ready to play.
Want to beat them and win, right?
So
yeah,
that's how I felt.
What was your most like memorable moment playing for George Washington, and the biggest thing that you took away from playing there?
The most memorable moment. Um, there was this one game where I had 10 assists. It was against Richmond. We ran up the score. We probably had 100 points. That's when I played with Yuta Watanabe.
Right.
He plays for the Raptors, I believe now.
Mm-hmm.
Many of my assists went to him because it was his senior. I think it was his senior night.
Yeah.
So and he was on fire. So I had 10 assists. Well, thanks to Yuta. Those were that's one of my memorable moments is there. But also another moment was when three of my friends, we all got on the court at the same time. I mean, it's pretty small of a moment, but it's really cool for us. It was me, Maceo, Jack, he's at Buffalo, my friend Terry, he's at Townsend, and my friend Javi. So we all got on the court at the same time together, and I think that was really cool because we all been saying like, I wish we could all play together, and then all of a sudden like we were running it run through four. So that was pretty cool.
It's awesome. I wish I could have came to one of your games in George Washington. I've seen you play a couple of times for George Washington, but what made you leave and continue your playing career at the University of Vermont, where you currently are right now?
New coaching made me leave. I didn't really make that decision myself. It's a long story, but yeah, we got a new coach, and just whenever you get a new coach, sometimes it doesn't go as planned. So it didn't go as planned, and I left George Washington. But luckily, I was picked up by, which I believe is a better basketball program, which definitely is a better basketball program at University of Vermont. And Coach Becker, he's a great guy. And he picked me up when I was down, and here I am.
Yeah, so you didn't play in the 2019-2020 season. You guys still did have a season, though, you know, if I'm not mistaken, even with the pandemic and everything going on. What was the reason for you not playing that season?
Transfer.
Okay, yep.
When you transfer, you can't play. Now they do now for 1 year because of COVID. I guess you could just add things because of COVID. So yeah, when I transferred, I should have played, but we submitted a lot of stuff to the NCAA, and they didn't want to agree on what I submitted. So then I had to sit out because of a transfer rule.
Did you get to like practice and run in practice or no?
Yeah, I could do everything but play.
Yeah, so bouncing back after that season, scored a solid 8.3 points a game, 3.6 rebounds, and adding a career high 23 points, going 7 for 9 from the field against the University of Vermont. I know that was an emotional game for you with the passing of your dad, Coach Dan, as it was emotional for all of us here in Johnston as well. If you can you elaborate on that game and what it meant to you and how you felt after it?
I mean that I was just ready. I was feeling great. A lot of my shots were going in. I was getting good reads. I was getting the ball. So I just felt it was just one of those nights where I just felt good. And being in that position last season was very difficult because obviously the passing of my dad. So that was the first time I ever had to play without fans. So that was terrible. And then usually my dad would be at games. So without that, and plus on top of having to go through a season with COVID, that was very difficult for our team. So last year was very inconsistent because we would be on the court for one day, and then we'd have 2 weeks off because someone got COVID. And then, like, I think that main game, we actually got shut down right after that main game.
Really?
Because Maine had COVID, and then when we got contact traced 2 weeks out. So, I mean, we would be on and off for 2 weeks, which was very inconsistent. But when we played Maine, we were on a good stretch of basketball, and we were getting consistent, and that's when I felt good. But I think that game was like just an example of staying the course and always working hard no matter what, putting your head down and just getting to it through the good and the bad. It's always good to just stay the course. no matter what. And I think that game showed stay the course. Like my dad would always say, just get better. I have it tattooed on me. It's just I mean, he'd just yell for no reason just to
Yeah.
continue to get better. No matter what, whether you're sad, happy, it was just a way of just continue to push forward and pursue and persevere. And I think that was just like a big example of perseverance. Is no matter what you're going through, there's COVID. I lost my dad, but you just got to keep on fighting. And that game showed resiliency and to always push forward no matter what. And that's what happened.
And then, like you said, it is what it is. He'd always say that to all of us, and just to keep pushing and just, not let anything kind of affect you. But I know you were around a lot when I was being coached by him. I don't think I've ever asked you this, but what was it like growing up with them and being coached by them and like living up to their expectations in a way?
Being coached by my dad, Uncle Ant looks
Right.
like a grandfather. He's pretty old. Luckily I was never coached by my Uncle Ant, so let's get that out there. I was never coached by Anthony, so that's a good thing. But by my dad, oh man, there's pros and cons. I think there is a little bit more cons than pros, but no, it was really great. My dad, he was the type of guy to, no matter how you're feeling, just always be on you. And you have to get over a certain hump. You have to realize that when he's yelling at you and wants you to do well, it's not because he hates you.
Oh, yeah.
It's because he cared. And once you get over that and you start to realize that, that's when you can grow and mature. But I didn't realize that until college, unfortunately. I wish I realized it sooner, but we always butted heads because he would always want to say something and critique me and micromanage, but I just never would shut up because that was the only coaching I was getting was him. So he was always yelling, and I'm like, "What are you yelling for? Like, why are you yelling? I don't know why you're yelling."
He hated talking back too. You couldn't talk back to him because that'd make it even worse.
Yeah, but I would, and then he would just throw the basketball at me, and then we would just get into a fight and end the workout. But no, it was really great. He shows, like, even if you don't know it and don't realize it, he shows you determination. He shows you hard work, dedication, perseverance. There's a lot of great qualities that came from his style of coaching that you don't realize in the moment, but when you step away from the game and you step away and you go into your real life, you're like, that actually, he really got me right. And that's what I realized in college is I actually wrote him a note explaining that to him, that I always thank him now that I'm in college, because without hard work and without routine, structure, I wouldn't be in the same place that I am now. And if I had never had him yelling at me like that, I don't think I would be here. So
yeah, no doubt. Like, he did the same thing with us. Like, I know you were around a lot for that. Like, I remember there was this one game I think we played Portsmouth. No, what did we play? Oh no, Prout. We played Prout in my sophomore year, and I was starting. I was having a terrible game, and I didn't really play like towards the end of the game, and it was kind of like a blowout. So then he put me in with kids that didn't really get minutes, and like, to me, not that it's like a slap in the face, but it's like, we can still win this game. And like, he took it like the wrong way, and he was like, he looked at me, he grabbed my shirt and put me right back down the bench, and that was it. He didn't speak to me for the rest of the bus ride. And like, those kinds of moments kind of, made me like open my eyes. Like, he just wants me to get better and doesn't want me to be affected by minor things and bad games, just to keep pushing. And it is what it is at the end of the day. Yeah. But I know he did that a lot for you.
Yeah, he sure did. And he had a certain bar of expectation. That's why I say there's cons, because he had such a high bar of expectation, which is a great thing. But I always would try and achieve that expectation, and then I would not get. It's always good if you're working hard to just celebrate the small wins, and I didn't get a chance to celebrate my small wins of my improvement when I was in high school, because I would always want to get better. And he always wanted me to get better. Every game, the car rides home were terrible.
Oh
We'd
my
just
God.
be yelling, saying stuff, and we would win too. So I would have to try and find the balance of me getting better and winning. And but I mean, hey, I'm here, so
Of course, but it
he
all
did
paid
something,
off,
he did something right.
Yeah,
Sure did something.
of course. I know you got to get going in a little bit, but to wrap everything up, what are your expectations for this upcoming season, and what are you hoping to accomplish for yourself and for your team?
I mean, the first thing that as a team we always want to strive for is that a championship.
Of course.
That's the type of culture we have here. That's the type of program we have, is that we're a championship caliber team. So that's the expectation, and that's what we strive for every day we step in that gym. And then to get to NCAAs, when we win the championship, we can go to NCAAs. So we fell off last year, unfortunately. But I mean, it is what it is. And this year's a new year. We have our fans back. Thank God. Those are the best people. So, I mean, the team expectation is always a championship. And for my personal expectation is a championship too. I'll do whatever it takes to get a championship. I don't really have personal expectations because I don't want to set a bar of expectation. I just want to be the best that I can be when I can be it. And I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to try my best every game and do my best. I'm not really looking for accolades or anything like that. I'm just looking to win. And it's my last year, so I'm trying to go out on top. And whatever it takes to do that, I'm going to do it. So,
yeah, I hope I can come to a game. I haven't seen you play for Vermont yet, but I appreciate you.
Great.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try to come up there soon, or when you guys start the season. But I appreciate you coming on the podcast.
We actually come down. We actually are playing Providence.
Oh, really?
And we're playing Brown. So,
okay.
December 7th and December 10th.
Is your schedule online on the website?
Our non-conference is not online yet, but I gave you an insider. We're playing Providence and Brown December 7th and December 10th.
I'll definitely keep that in mind.
We're there that week.
All right, but I appreciate you again for coming on the podcast. It's just so awesome to pick your brain and your brother Joe and how you guys had different experiences. Do you have anything else to say before we wrap it up?
How was on the podcast with Joe?
Honestly, for my first time, it was kind of nerve-wracking. I'm not gonna lie. I said it myself. I don't know. I know I've never had a conversation with him. Like, I've always seen you. I've always talked to you. So it's more like a kind of like a friend, because it's not it was Joe. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I never really met Joe in person, but I know he's your brother. I know it's a different perspective from you, but yeah.
No, actually that day, no, because I saw him. When did you do that? Did you do that during the week?
It was the 9th. So like the beginning of that week.
I saw him that weekend, and he was like, "Do you know Cam Simone?" And I didn't know you guys did that yet. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm going on his podcast." He's like, "Oh, I just did his podcast the other day." I'm like, "You didn't even say anything?" And so he said he had a great time, and it was really cool. And he really supports you because you're trying to be the best you can be. And I'm like the same way as him. Hey, just if you have something and you have a passion for it, just run it into the ground.
I appreciate that he liked it. I appreciate that you loved coming on.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are awesome. I appreciate it so much.
No problem.
But I know you got to get going.
Yes,
I'll definitely be in touch. Come to your games this year for sure.
Sounds great.
All right. I'll talk to you soon, Justin. No problem. And that wraps up today's episode, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed episode 5. If there's more stuff like this coming your way, Justin was a huge inspiration to me growing up because he was around so much when his dad was coaching. And I couldn't think of him